Okay, so here we are back into our tutorial series to create a Blender character, bring it into UE4 or Unity. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do UV unwrapping. So I assume you know kind of what UV unwrapping is since you're kind of jumping into this. Basically what it is it's how to cut the model into sections so that way you can actually unwrap it or do things like that. It's, like imagine if the character is made out of fabric and you wanted to kind of give it detail. That's what we're going to be doing. So before we jump in, just one little extra detail. Just want to actually add an extra little loop in there before we continue. Just that way we have that detail. And then also one in the arm and one in the forearm there. Just to give it a little more form and a little more evenness. Just noticed that earlier. So just go ahead and jump into that if you have the characters in the other video. If you're using your own character, then don't even worry about that. Cool. Let's go ahead and I'll save this as the fourth model in our modeling series. And then we'll go ahead and go to Save As. And I create a separate folder called UV. So we'll do model UV underscore 01, since this is going to be the first part of it. And we're just going to save this as a backup. We're going to do Control Shift S, and we're going to hit plus and then 2. So that way we just have that other one working off of a working copy. What we're going to do here is we've got our model here. So let's go ahead and start just cutting into the seams. So let's go ahead and jump in. Seams are basically, like I said, where you're going to cut the fabric, and once we unwrap it, you'll see what happens. So if we just try to unwrap it as is, mind you also have the modifier in place. Go to UV image editor, highlight the selection and hit unwrap. That's not really easy to texture or even tell what that is. So we want to cut it up with little seams so it comes apart, kind of like a pelt, like if you're going to skin an animal or something like that. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do is generally you cut across the back to the side, and that'll be how we'll kind of put ours together. So the technique that I use for this is we start with a mirror modifier, we put in the seams that we want, we apply the mirror modifier, then we go into the scene and actually apply the unwrapping, and then once we find how we like what it looks like, we'll do the mirror modifier again. So that way we have a mirrored side on both sides, but there's no seam down the middle. Now this will make sense as it goes along. Just want to make sure that you know that what's going into this process. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Go ahead, go down the middle here, and grab that center loop. I guess it'll be, yeah, right like that. And we don't want the whole head like that. We just want this back down to here. Go ahead and grab that, hit Control E, and do Mark Seam. So that'll go right up to the neck. Then we'll do a line right down the arm. And you'll see that'll come right to the edge of the pinky there. We could do it either from that one, or we could do it from this arm here. UV unwrapping is all about hiding the seams if you can. So, oops. Let's go and see if we can use this one, because that's kind of hidden further under the arm. So we'll go into the hand. We'll go up to this finger. And now I'm going to go ahead and just, let's see what we can do. We'll mark that for now. That'll be a good starting point on that arm. We'll just do Mark Seam. Now we'll go ahead and go to that little finger there, and I'm just going to hit period to center in on the hand, and we're going to select the edges we want. Now mind you, we actually want edges, not points, because if we do verts like this, it'll select the entire face and it'll do the in-between ones. We just want the edges. So go ahead and grab that one, and just go down the length of the finger, and start grabbing all these points. So grab it like that. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. That's looking pretty good. Okay. And that goes all the way along, and then it comes into the thumb, goes down to the end of the length of it. And you can see it kind of comes down to the bottom there. We don't want it to go all the way down. That way it kind of opens up around the thumb. So I think what I'll do is we'll probably just leave it there. We'll put one more little tick on that thumb there, that way it cuts that line. I think I'm going to uncheck that one. And then we'll also put a cut right at the wrist. So I think we'll put the cut maybe like right around here. Right in the middle there, and we'll put a mark seam on that. Cool. So we got that all set. Let's go ahead and go into this one. We'll mark a seam for the pants. Now mind you, if you really wanted to, you could also like model in like a little hem of like the pants, or like where it meets the boot, or like a little wrist here, or anything like around the neck. We're just doing a simple model, so we're not going to add in that extra detail, just so you're aware. So we've got this guy set up like that. We we added that seam in. That looks good. Let's do a leg seam right down the middle. And you see that'll come around the arm. We don't want it to go that far. We don't even actually want it to go around even the boot there. Go ahead and put that in like that. Don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Oh, actually, we do want it like that. So go ahead and select that. Go to Control E, mark seam. Go down to here, select in on it, and just go around the boot a little bit, around the bottom. I find this kind of gives you a fairly decent result. Mark seam, and I think we'll do one around the leg as well. We'll assume the pants end here because you have a little bit of boot that comes up. That looks pretty good to me. You can scale that in a little bit. Trying to think how that looks. Yeah, that looks about right. Just scale it in a little bit, and do a mark seam on that. Cool. So that should be enough to get us started, I think. Go to the leg here. I think we want one there, and we want one up to the front. Well, we want the legs completely cut in half, so two separate. And we can do the head now. Now, if you had a more high-resolution model, you might actually want to cut out the face here. We may end up doing that, but I think in this case we'll just cut the neck right down there, and then we'll do the head like this. Do a seam there. Let's see how we want to do this. Maybe we'll cut out the front of the head. I think that's fine. I think that's fine for now. That might unwrap a little weird, but you got to kind of give yourself a sense of what it's going to, you mark down the basic seams, and then when we go into UV Unwrap, we'll see and tweak it as we see fit. So cool. We got that UV model there. For the sake of this, I think I'm just going to save this, and we'll save over the UV model basic here, that first one. That way we have that to work off of. So let's go that, and then we'll save it over the second one, and we'll save a third time. That way we have a third copy to do the new weird stuff with, the new editing and stuff. So let's go ahead and grab the model here. Looking pretty good. Okay, and now we got our model in here. And then this is where we apply the mirror modifier. So what that does basically is if we apply that right now, we got to go into object mode. Immediately you see it mirrors over all those seams. So we don't have to do the seams on both hands and go in here at the finger and stuff. We may have to go in and tweak it now that we've applied it, but for the most part it copies over the seams, which is nice. So great. We've got that all set up. Let's go ahead and select the whole model in edit mode, unwrap, and then select unwrap. There we are. Looking pretty good, I gotta be honest. That's a full pelt of the body and arms and the torso. These are the two legs. These are the boots. You can see they're kind of boot shaped. The only thing that's a little odd is these, which I think are the face or the head or I think they might actually be the hands. Let's find out. Yeah, these are the hands. I actually see the face anywhere. Oh yeah, we forgot to cut it right off the neck. That's okay. So we just go ahead and do a loop around the neck and deselect that. Do a loop around the neck and do mark seam and unwrap again. And you can see that it's come out. There's the face. So that's kind of the head kind of split apart there. That's fine. And we've got the neck right there. Trying to see if there's any way we can get around that. No, that's fine. That looks fine to me. So we've got basically all our stuff unwrapped. You can see the hands are a little messed up. So let's see if we can figure out what's going on there. We'll select that little point there and see what's giving us trouble. I see right away. So you see we're missing the connecting points on these little webbings between the fingers, and this as well. Let's just grab all of them. Like I said, we'd probably have to go back into the hands and do some tweaking. So let's just grab them and do mark seam. I didn't realize I missed them. That's okay though. We got this side. We got the seams on all of them, it looks like, except for this guy. Same deal. Since we mirrored it, it should be the same. Let's do an unwrap again. Ah, yes. Excellent. So you see this is the fingers and then just the underside of the fingers on the other side. Excellent. So this looks like a pretty good match right here. What we're going to do now is kind of the extra little trick I talked about to make sure these sides are exactly mirrored, which can be useful for Photoshop. Like if you do a lot of detail on the one leg and you want to mirror it over exactly to the other, it's nice to have that option. So what we're going to do now is go into this. We're going to go into edit mode, go into verts, and delete the left side. Make sure you get everything. I think we don't want that little point, and we want to make sure we got all the hand, and go ahead and hit delete. We got all that. Make sure we turn off sync mode, sorry, and delete. Oop, hitting faces. So now you see we just have a half of everything, which is exactly what we want. What we can do now is very simple. add a modifier, add a mirror modifier, oop, not a solidify, add a mirror modifier, add that back in, and now everything looks the same except we're missing that second half, but we actually aren't missing it. These are all now contain both of the UVs because it's mirrored, and what we can do is we can grab them and move them over, and there'll be an exact mirror of them on the other side. So let's do that right now. We can go into Island, and we can just grab it, and if I go to, let's see, oh, we got to apply the mirror modifier, my bad. Apply that first, you got to go to object mode. Now we can go ahead and grab an island, and boom, see we've got an exact mirror. So if I do scale x -1, it's mirrored exactly, so you can just work with that as is. So let's go ahead and just grab all these and just move them over. Grab that guy, scale x -1, grab the face, grab it and go over to here, scale x -1, grab the boot, gx, scale x -1. That's okay, yep. Boots actually we could probably leave like that, maybe even. Because they don't need to be mirrored, but maybe we'll do it like that. That way we have a sense of what boots left and right. Grab the torso, gx -1, oops, sorry, gx and bring it over a bit. Scale x -1. Hands, I'm going to rotate the hands to be more like this. Maybe even down like that. I think that's kind of just a better configuration. Grab the other one, gx, scale x -1. And we'll move this guy over here. Grab x like that. Oops, let's keep this going. Grab an x. Alright, am I happy with that? I kind of liked it the other way, to be honest. There we go. So now we've got all these sides, and they're exact mirrors of each other. Beautiful, right? But what happens with this? We don't want a seam down right the front of the torso. So we're going to fix these seams here on the head and on the torso. That way we don't have to worry about that. That way it's right down the middle. Easy way to do that, which is actually incredibly awesome. I just figured this out myself. Is grab one side and make sure the center is exactly straight. So we need to make sure these edges or these verts here in the middle are exactly scaled to like up and down. So just grab and do scale x 0 and do the same on the other side, scale x 0. And we can do it on this guy while we're at it. Looks perfectly straight just to be safe. SX0, yep. And that looks good. Then we can go back to island. And if you don't see islands, make sure you're unticked from this. And then you have the whole model selected. And just grab the top of it and just try to match these two verts right at the top. And you'll see kind of some magical thing happen. So just grab it and keep moving it in, keep moving it in. Make sure it's as close to accurate as you can get it. And then just let go of it and watch what happens now. Now it's one object. As far as Blender is concerned, when they get that close, they're just considered the same thing. So now we've got those two merged. Grab these two guys and just zoom all the way in. And just keep going in. And bring him right on over top of that spot. And now we can grab both, and they're perfectly aligned. So now we've got all these nicely mirrored objects, which is exactly what we want. Let's go ahead and look at the model. Now let's make sure that left is left and right is right and front is back and things like that, and then we'll move these into the right place. So right now, this could be left, this could be right, or it could be vice versa. Let's find out. Let's turn off sync mode, or turn on sync mode, and now we can check. So let's see, left is right, which is not what we want, so grab the whole model. Easy way you can do that is hit Control-Tab, go to Face, and then just hit L, then do Scale X -1. And that doesn't look like it did much because it's perfectly mirrored, but it should be on the opposite side now. So you see left is left and right is right. We go on to the legs. You know, left is left and right is right, but how about, you know, is this like the front looking area? Is this the middle of the leg? I think it would make sense if it kind of unrolled from the middle of the leg. And then on this one, you know, it's kind of the same thing there. It should unroll from the kind of the middle of the leg. So let's see, these are, you know, mirrors of each other. So let's go ahead and grab this whole thing. GX, bring it over here, and do scale x -1, and on this guy, scale x -1. So now it should, oops, let me try that again, scale x -1. We should kind of see it unfurling from the middle of the leg to the front. Or did I have it right the other way? Let's see. Okay, I think it was right the other way. We'll just leave it. We'll put it back the way it was. Right, yeah, so that's coming from, goes all the way around. Huh, let's see. Let's just see, I'll do a quick test here. Scale x -1. Oh, okay, okay. It's just going to be the same way either way. It's just the way that the wrapping is. It's not gonna solve that, because I think the other way doesn't really make any sense. If I grab this whole thing right and do this. Oh, okay, that's what we want. We want that. Oh, it was because I reversed the legs. So ignore all that. All you got to do is take these two legs and just do a scale x -1 on both of them, because they were in the right position all along. Scale x -1. Grab this guy, move him over. Try not to move them up and down, that way they're perfectly mirrored. And then I can see it starts at the front and goes to the back. Grab these two and keep moving them over. And we got the head. Let's see how the head looks. Is left, left, and right, right. Nope. Grab that. Scale x -1. Good. Left boot, left boot. Yep. I think I'd like these boots facing outwards, just for the sake of kind of what looks like more, less confusing. Like that. And now the hands. We got left hand and we've got right hand. Good. So we've got them all set up here. Let's go ahead and switch out of this mode. Go back in, and then we can just select islands again. The face deserves a lot more face to have a lot more space, not face, to be scaled up for, so you can have more texture painted into it, because generally the face gets more detail than anything else. To see if we can relax that face a little bit, if you hit Control V, you can kind of give it a little more room to work. Then we'll put it something like that. What we're going to do is the rest of this stuff, see if we can fit it all in there pretty decently. But if we can't, we'll see what we can do. Oops, just like that. What we want is we want the face to have plenty of room. So let's scale these down until we can fit everything in at once, including the face. Now, if you had a more elaborate model, you'd have a lot more, stuff being used up in this same area. But since our model isn't too elaborate, we're just going to kind of do a basic placement of these objects. You can really get it tight. You can get the space kind of tight and have a lot fill it up in here, but for now it'll be okay. Generally, I kind of like to scale the hands up just a little bit. That way you can add a little extra detail on the hands, and these guys as well can be scaled up. Let's move these down. Alright, that's a half decent kind of UV unwrapping here. Not exactly using all the space that we could use, but not too bad. See if I can move the head down here. That might actually be better. Will these still fit decently? Let's see how that does. That's not really any better. So okay, there we go. We've got the legs, we've got the head, we've got our boots there, and we've got our body there, and we got our hands there. So that's pretty much all we need for UV unwrapping. In the next video, we'll be checking it. I'll show you how to do kind of a checkerboard. That way we can look at like where the texture looks right. And if needs be, we'll tweak it. But more importantly, that's basically all the UV unwrapping. Up next, we're going to be texture painting, and that'll be the next tutorial. So thanks for watching. If you like this, feel free to subscribe and give it a like. So I'll see you in the next video.